Welcome to The Soft Life with me, Candy Washington, where we explore all things self-love, manifestations, and relationships with a cheeky dash of pop culture news. So be sure to subscribe, share, and join us on Patreon. Hey everyone, welcome back to The Soft Life with me, Candy Washington. And before we dive into today's episode, which will be a very inspiring and empowering conversation with Anna Lozano, be sure to subscribe, like, and share. Also, if you need additional support, you can grab our self-love journal. Also, be sure to join our Patreon group down below. It's our supportive community. And also, get a course. We have our Manifest Your Dream Life Through Self-Love course, the Art of Self-Love Masterclass, and also be sure to join our newsletter. It is free, and you also get a free self-love guide when you join. So with that, everyone, let's dive into today's episode. So we're going to welcome Anna Lozano to our show. She is a multifaceted entrepreneur. She is the co-founder of Love Powered Co., and she is a coach. In just 6 years, she and her business partner scaled and sold their business. So I'm so excited to talk to you today. So do you want to share with us a little bit more about yourself and your journey?
Yes. Well, thank you so much for having me. We are totally aligned with the beautiful products and offers we bring to the world. So it's so wonderful to be here. So more about me. Yeah, I started my career in a very traditional route, being raised by immigrant parents who really believed in the safe, secure route, and that's what I did. So I studied hard, got good grades, went to the top business school, and then arrived in corporate Canada and looked around, and wow, it just felt like my soul was being sucked right out of me.
Yeah.
And that was about the time when the law of attraction came out, when The Secret came out. And I remember just surrendering to the world and surrendering to the universe and saying, what am I here for? What is my purpose? What is my soul's purpose? And I was introduced to the world of network marketing, which was my first gateway, I like to call it, into entrepreneurship and into personal development. And within a couple of months, I left corporate and started creating my own evidence of what it felt like to be an entrepreneur, what it felt like to be a female entrepreneur, what really was fulfilling my soul. And I realized quickly that I'm a fantastic entrepreneur, and I love being a coach, a mentor, a guide for other women to really design a life that they love. And so then fast forward a few years, I became a mom. And network marketing was also a gateway into personal development. So that was really the first time that I was introduced to the greats like Bob Proctor and Louise Hay and Wayne Dyer. Yeah. And I was having a play date with a dear friend, and my 9-month-old was crawling around and her little ones were running around, and we looked at our clean slate children and thought, wow, like, what if they were raised on the foundations of mindfulness and affirmations and gratitude and kindness? Like, what would their futures be like? Like, what would their lives be like? Whereas here we are as adults, as female leaders, really unfucking ourselves from all the conditioning, programming, that the baggage that we've brought with us throughout likely lifetimes. Yeah. And so they were raised on this. And so we got to work, and within 9 months, we launched a company called Love Powered Co., which was bringing mindfulness to families. And as you said in the intro, we scaled that company and sold it after 5 years.
Wow.
It led me to my transition of, being a coach and a mentor to product and service-based entrepreneurs based on the experience that I've had over the last 13 years in the entrepreneurial world.
I love that. That's just such a powerful and inspiring story. So what came up for me when you were talking was you really had, you made the leap from corporate America into what you were doing, into what, your soul was calling you to do. And then you found the evidence that you could be successful in it. And I think that's really the essence of faith. You believed in yourself and you said, I know my soul is calling me to something else. I know my higher self has a different purpose and path in this world. And even though I don't physically see it, I know it. And I have the faith to take this leap. And then once you took the leap, then it manifested in the evidence that, yes, you're on the right path. Yes, you can be successful at this. Yes, you made the right choice. So I really love that part of your story, because I think a lot of people whose soul is calling to them for a different purpose or a different walk in life, they're waiting for the evidence to prove, it's like, oh, well, I'll believe it when I see it. But faith is, I believe it, therefore I will see it. So I love that part of your story, because I think that's really the biggest barrier between living a life that has been given to you versus living a life that you've actually chosen to co-create for yourself. People wait for the evidence, but it's no, take the leap and then that will follow.
Exactly.
And then,
Oh,
yeah. And I also loved, in your story, you were talking about intuition versus external expectations, right? Intuitively, you're like, this isn't for me. Like, this isn't what's lighting me up. I'm not lighting other people up. But like the majority of us, particularly women, exactly like you said, we have so many external expectations. What do our family thinks we should look like or do? What does society think we should look like or do? What does our friends think we should look like or do? What does our mate think we should look like or do? And we're always constantly looking outside of ourselves to inform A, how we feel about ourselves, and then B, how we show up in the world, when we really should look into intuition inside of ourselves for how we actually feel about ourselves. And then from the inside, how do we want to show up in the world? So I also love that about your story. And then what also came up was, Love Powered Co with the children, and how you and your partner like looked around and said, what if our children actually grew up being mindful? What if our children actually knew about intuition and the universe and the law of attraction, the law of assumption, our thoughts create things? Like, what if our children didn't have the programming and the conditioning and the baggage that we now have to unpack, unlearn, reprogram, and let go of? And what came up for me with that is something I actually talked to my friend about. He was talking about how, his mother is very difficult. Sometimes she has like narcissistic tendencies, and how he wants to create all these, boundaries with her. But when he's in and then tell his children, this is not how we are. But actually, he was showing up still not having healthy boundaries and all of this stuff. And I said to him, well, you can say to your children, to your blue in the face, this is not how we are. But your children are going to do as you do, not what you say. So what you're truly modeling to your children is that you're not actually living in integrity, because you're saying this is who we are, but this is how we actually act. So I loved in your story that I think your company was born out of you and your partner actually modeling, embodying, being the living example for your children to follow. Because you weren't saying, children, live mindfully. You were like, I am living mindfully. And your life is the best example for everyone, including your children. So I loved all of those nuggets that came up in your story. And I also had a question. So I know that you talked about corporate and making the shift and living in the very masculine energetic space, and now you're more into living from or leading from a more feminine energetic space. So do you want to talk about that dynamic and how to lead from both or from one, and what that sort of looks like?
Yes. Oh, and that's such a great transition, because I feel like even not knowing it, I felt over the last decade this natural, I guess, soul yearning, this desire to really rebalance my own energy. So naturally, I am more the empowered masculine energy.
Yes.
Also, what society models as successful women is very masculine women.
Mhm.
And what I've learned, stepping into corporate America really was the programming of there's one seat at the table, and we must wear the pants, and we must compete with one another, because there isn't that many spaces for women, and then we add in minorities and so forth and so forth. And so it became this survival of the fittest in having to prove ourselves. But the beautiful thing about entrepreneurship is that, first of all, it calls us out on our bullshit, right? So it's like we need to face the hardest parts of ourself. We need to meet our edges in order to reach these next levels of success, of meeting our future self, which we're constantly doing. And so for me, I started my entrepreneurial career very much in my masculine energy.
Yes.
But over the years, the things that worked were no longer working. And so there was this natural move to trying something different. Also, not only it wasn't working, but it was no longer feeling good. And so that was my first, and around the same time I became a mother, like it all kind of coincided together. It was this natural shift into more of my feminine energetics. And mind you, it is not my natural. My natural is very masculine. So it has been such a work in progress over the last 7 years of really embracing the feminine, but also getting real and raw of like the stories I had around the feminine. So if I surrender and lean into trust, if I take time off to rest, rejuvenate, relax, if I practice more self-care throughout the day, guess what? I still get to be successful, but I get to do it from this very, I like to call it ease and flow energy, this very magnetic energy. But mind you, for my natural, like my soul and the way it's been programmed and everything that I brought into this lifetime, it has been extremely uncomfortable to lean into this feminine trust of I get to, if I want to, go for a 2-hour walk throughout the day and trust that client can go on my website and purchase my highest package, and I still get to be successful in my feminine. So that's been a lot of the work that I've been doing over the last few years. And every day it's also collecting the evidence. Like last week, I had a migraine come on and I napped from 11 to 3. Like old self Anna would never nap from 11 to 3. That's her working time.
Yeah.
But then I got to collect the evidence that things still moved. There was still sales, that, no one died. It was totally okay for Anna to be disconnected, to rest and focus on her health, right? So it's like, again, collecting that evidence and then stepping more into this comfort of, I get to be fully nourished. I get to show up as my divine feminine and as my empowered masculine, and I get to choose when I'm eating from energy. Yeah.
No, absolutely. So many yummy, good things came up when you were talking. So first, when you were talking about, being in corporate and then transitioning to being an entrepreneur, same thing with like that masculine energy that the stories were told about women, particularly in the workforce, whether it is corporate or entrepreneur. It was like that sort of toxic boss babe, hustle, 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 hustle mentality that people had. And you're right, it does put you in survival mode. So then you're fighting or flighting. So if you have to fight, then you have to be fighting either against yourself or against someone else, whether it's your other female coworker or whatever it is. Or as an entrepreneur, you're fighting against yourself. Just like you said, I had a migraine, but if we're in that survival, fight or flight mode, that hustle mentality, then we're fighting against ourselves with even listening and taking care of ourselves. So I totally agree. And I definitely identify with that. And that's something I'm still working through, of taking breaks and relaxing and not feeling guilty or that I'm going to fall behind or something won't get done. And just like you said, have that trust in self and have that trust in divine, that I will be always supported and taken care of. And it's not my job to control everything. It's my job to trust, release, and let go and accept and receive, which is being more in that feminine energy. That is the energy of receiving, of being open, of flow, not hustle. So I absolutely love that. And I definitely identify with that 100%. And then also what came up, which I thought was really powerful, what you said was stories around the feminine energy. You know,
Mhm.
there are those stories that we have like, oh, feminine energy is like, oh, I got my nails done and my hair done and I look so da da da. And that has literally nothing to do. Like that's like the last bit. That's like not even it. That's like an aesthetic. That's not an energetic place, right? So that's so true. And what came up when you were talking, I started thinking about the most successful people in the world, and I used to think they were in their masculine, but they're actually in their feminine because they go and they play golf for 4 hours and they're still making millions of dollars. They go and they're, traveling to the Amalfi Coast for 2 weeks and they're still and their portfolio is still working for them and they're still making all of this money. So the people who actually do have that certain level of success, they're actually really in their feminine because they're just receiving. Everything's on autopilot. People are working for them, you know? So I love that. That was such a like mindset aha moment. So I really love that. And then also being in the feminine, what came up for me when you were talking was really knowing your intrinsic value and worth, and that you still, just like you said, you still get to get the things and you don't have to kill yourself doing it. Like you
Mhm.
still get it because you are intrinsically and inherently and divinely already worthy of it. So you don't have to hustle and prove and earn in order to receive and deserve. You already deserve to receive simply because you're here.
Yes, and
Make
simply yeah, and I just wanna add on too, and it's like our souls have a blueprint, and,
Mhm.
looking at you, of course you're gonna be successful in this lifetime, like, it's already in your blueprint, and then we get to choose how we arrive there, in what energetic frequency we arrive, wherever there is, whatever
Mhm.
success measures we have, but it's been so programmed to do it the hard way that leads to burnout, that leads to resentment, that leads to sacrifice. And it's like, no more. And literally there's been a shift. Like we're now in the Aquarian age,
Mhm.
which is community focused, which is feminine led. And it's not just women being called to lean more into the feminine, it's also men being called to it, right? And so it's like this rebalancing of energies on a planetary level. So we're going to arrive there. Like we know who we are. We know our soul's blueprint. We just get to choose how it gets to feel on the journey.
I love that. And so for us who are like listening and may feel, okay, I hear you, I know I'm going to be successful and I get to choose, but I don't know how to choose. What are some steps we can take to manifest or to call in or to, shift into a frequency or an energy space to be able to choose, to co-create and to deliberately decide, this is the path that I want to take.
Yeah. Yeah, so I really like to look at this in terms of frequency and energy. So every single one of us, we're all energy, right? And no matter what, we don't get to choose if one day our energy goes out into the vortex or it doesn't. It just does, right? So no matter what, our energetic frequency is being projected out. And so the people, the opportunities, the experiences, the things, they're boomeranging back to us, the ones that have a like vibration. And so this is why tuning into how we feel, which is what generates the frequency, because every emotion has a frequency attached to it,
Yeah.
is so important. And so it's nothing to do about bypassing how we feel, but it is sitting with this awareness of how do I feel right now?
Mhm.
Because how I feel, this energy is being broadcasted out. And so I get to choose how I feel. Now, some people may have to do a lot of work and a lot of recoding, reprogramming around, traumas and situations and lifetimes that they've brought with them of
Mhm.
stuff that no longer serves them. But maybe you listening have already done a lot of work, and every single day you just get to sit down and say, how do I feel right now? Because my emotions, that frequency behind them is being broadcasted out, and maybe you just need to choose differently. So I'll give you two examples of this because um, it's so powerful. So a few weeks ago I received a text message in the morning. So I don't like to touch my phone when I wake up, but for whatever reason I did, and it really triggered me. And again, we're all having a human experience. We come with a wide array of emotions, and it is what it is. And so it's not about always being high vibe either and getting our hair done. Like, it's not about that. It's we're human, having a human experience, and just being so raw, real, and authentic with how we're feeling. So Anna got triggered. But then guess what happened after that? Rather than choosing, so pausing, accepting, choosing an action that would actually get me back into alignment, I kind of sat in it. And sitting in it fueled more of that out of alignment frequency that led to a $400 ticket because I got pulled over to, more of the spiral. And then, the next day I looked back and I was like, well, of course, I consciously created situations because I stayed in my shit rather than acknowledging it, doing whatever I needed to do. My thing is getting out in nature and really grounding and clearing, and then layering on a different emotion, a higher frequency emotion. So that's an example of, once something happens, either is going to spiral the way we don't want it to spiral or the other way. Again, we get to choose. But another example of this is my family and I were driving through the town that we live. And this is when we were building Love Powered Co. And I so clearly remember just all of a sudden looking around being like, holy, okay, this mega Canadian influencer lives in this area. Just this feeling came over me. I'm like, she lives here. So I put my hands up in the air and I'm like, universe, if we're meant to collaborate with this woman, make it easy, make it fast, make it fun. And then comes the intentional action piece. So I sat down and I was like, I'm just going to guess her email address. So I guessed her email address, introduced myself. I'm Anna Lozano, co-founder of Love Powered Co. We have this beautiful opportunity to create a journal or affirmations or, anything that you resonate with right now that you want to bring to your world. She wrote back to me within 8 minutes. And this collaboration, within 9 months after that, we had a gorgeous journal collaboration, co-creation that led to our brand exploding, that led to the sale of the company because of the brand awareness. And so that was leveraging this elevated frequency and turning it into inspired action that led to one of the biggest career deals of my life. And so we get to play with this frequency. We get to choose moment by moment by moment.
I love that. And I love that in both examples, just like you said, it's about choice. So you could either have, when you were triggered, how you were feeling, you could have chosen to say, well, I'm being triggered right now. And you know what? I'm a human. That's okay. But I choose to define it X, Y, and Z. Just like in the moment where you were in the neighborhood with the influencer, you got a high, a good, like inspired feeling. It's always easier to like make choices and define the good feelings. And you're like, all right, this means I need to take action. I need to take inspired action. And I also love that you said, if it's divinely meant to be, if it's meant to be, let this come forward. Because I think that's really the key to co-creation in an intentional way, where it's like, yes, this is my intention, this is what I want. But I also know there might be something higher, better, that can serve me in a different way. So yes, I'm being clear on what I want. Yes, it's what I'm choosing, but I also surrender. I also surrender to what a higher divine, more in alignment plan for me may be. So I absolutely love that. And I also love that you said, let it be clear. What you said, let it be quick.
Easy, simple, quick, fun. Like it just be like, just show me, like, give me the evidence.
Me too. I say that too. I always say, let it be clear, let it be easy, and let it be quick.
Love it.
Just let it be clear. Like, I don't want to be like, should I not? Does this feel good? Does it not feel good? I'm like, just let it be clear. Like, it could not be more of like a duh.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. And like playing with it all the time. Right now, we're like, if we're meant to move to Mexico for the next 12 months, make it very clear, because it's like, I don't want to question. I just want to take action when it's meant to be.
Yeah, let's like let it be clear. I absolutely love that. And I loved how before you were saying you were more in your masculine, but then it wasn't working anymore. And how you really knew it wasn't working was it didn't feel good anymore. Like the feeling was different. And I think that's such a powerful statement, because it's really such a powerful indication of, are you in alignment, and are you living in integrity, and are you on the right track anymore? Because just like you said, it used to work, it was great, but then something shifted. And I think a lot of times we stay stuck, whether it's in the job or in the neighborhood, not moving, or in a great career that we now love, but there's something better for us, like that influencer out there. But we stay stuck because we either stifle those great aha inspired moments because we're not in tune to our own feelings, or we stay stuck in those trigger moments because we're not in a place to get out of it. So I love how you said you followed the feeling, and you really let that feeling be your guide to inspire your next right move. So I think that's fantastic. What are some other insights or stories or guidance that you have for us who might be in a good place in our life, in a good place in our career, but still feel like something is calling us to that next level, and maybe we need a little bit of clarity to get there?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, I got to share specifically something that I experienced yesterday. I'm just like literally pulling out my notes here because I have 7 pages of notes from this soul session reading that I did yesterday. Now, I know if someone's listening to your podcast, they're totally in energetic alignment with you and I. And I feel like women like you and I, we look for that discomfort. We look for those edges in order to experience growth. Now, a lot is happening both consciously and subconsciously. And what I've realized with my own growth journey is, a lot of it has been conscious in terms of, okay, I understand my upbringing is immigrant Polish, and I understand there was a lot of struggle around money. So I consciously knew that a lot of the work I had to do was around money mindset, money beliefs, money programming, right? So that was like a conscious decision that I took to reach my next level. Now, at the same time, there's blind spots, and there's literally things holding us back that are so subconsciously deep that we don't know. We literally do not have a way of knowing. And so yesterday, I signed myself up for this 3-hour soul session reading. And let me tell you this, I met this woman on Zoom, and I was like, I'm ready for my next level. Okay, what do I have to do? Didn't know what was going to happen over the next 3 hours. And I can tell you still today, like, I feel like a truck hit me. Like, I feel like I have been run over by an 18-wheeler. And it's all on purpose, and it's all divinely timed. So it was so brilliant because her gift was going back to my past lives and really nailing down the imprint on my soul that I have brought into this lifetime. And it's just like, there's absolutely like zero probability that I could have worked on this specific, and I'll go into the exact issue from this depth, because it's just not in my awareness, and there's no way it would ever be in my awareness in this lifetime, because it's from a past life. So in this past life, I was a young male. I was living in Malta, Greece. I was living a very simple life, a very quiet life. It was just me and my parents. My parents owned a sheep or goat farm, but only enough to just make it through.
Get by.
We were not wealthy by any means. And I was very happy. And I would just get lost in everything, in my own experiences and my own adventures on the water. So what I did was I would fish, and I would fish for dinner, and I would fish to maybe sell a fish here and there. But again, just getting by. But we were very happy. And one day I got just lost in my imagination and my thoughts on the water. And I came home much later than I normally would. And my dad was hysterically crying and just begging me to save mom. So mom had ingested some herbs that she was poisoned. She had a reaction. Her body went into seizures, and my dad was begging me to take the goats, to take any money that we had and go find a doctor. Now, I knew we didn't have money. I took whatever I could. I brought it to the doctor, but the doctor, he was only motivated by money. So he did not come. He did not come to save my mom. Now, what this woman said is no matter what, even if the doctor came, my mom would have passed. However, this completely tore my relationship. So I lost my mom and my dad at the same time. My dad never spoke to me ever again because I did not bring the doctor back. Now, here is the seed that was planted on my soul. It's money equals safety, but not only safety, but if I don't have money, people will die. So that
Mhm.
is and people that I love, people that I'm so close with will literally die if I don't have money. So it goes even so much deeper than money equals safety equals security. And so that is the imprint on my soul in this lifetime. And I just, when she was explaining this, so we went through several lifetimes, I'm like, holy shit, like I am carrying so much baggage. But
Yeah.
there's like, how would I've had the chance to really unveil this and bring it to the surface when it is like
So
such
deep. Yeah.
programming? And so I do know consciously that in this lifetime, money equals safety and security for me.
Yep.
But that extra layer of money will actually mean people will die if I don't have it.
Mhm.
The depth of that. And so what she did is we went through 5 different lifetimes. And I just like, I was bawling because literally I just wanted to give my soul a hug. Like I've been
Yeah.
carrying so much and so much weight on my shoulders through these lifetimes that I brought to the now. And then she cleared it. And she said, after the clearing, so I got off Zoom and she
Mhm.
worked with my soul for the next 30 minutes.
Oh.
And she said that once it was cleared, all she saw was just light and gold. And I do feel tired today, but I've just been consciously integrating it all. Where like, so I just want to tie it to one more thing. So I don't know if you know who Regan Hillier is, but she's an 8-figure entrepreneur. She had a $33 million year last year. And I was working with her last week. And she said, what's your soul's purpose? And she was working with my mastermind group. And I just wrote down freedom. But you know what I thought it was? I thought it was financial freedom so
Mm.
that I can experience the true luxuries and the true freedom of life. But yesterday, after the session, as I was integrating, I went back to the word freedom and added that layer of depth. It's the freedom, the soul freedom from all the suitcases that I've been carrying throughout lifetimes. Like I get to release that. And I just get to be in this lifetime because of who I am. And that was that next layer of depth to my word freedom. So, yes, it is the financial freedom to fly private jets and experience the luxuries of life, but it's also the freedom to actually experience it with
Yeah.
the baggage and the programming and all the stuff that felt so heavy, no matter what I did, because there was the sense of responsibility,
Of
you
course.
know?
Yeah.
Oh, so that's my day yesterday.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And you're probably feeling so tired because you're releasing, it's like after you do like a really intense workout or a really deep meditation or even like a yoga class or whatever, your body and your mind just feels tired because you've worked it out and you have this release and it kind of has to, reset. But what came up for me when you were talking was not only money meant a lot of different things, right? So like
Yeah.
not having money meant death. So having money means life,
Mm,
right?
yeah, the
So the
polarity.
only way you felt that you could live was like if you had the money, but then also not having money also meant abandonment. So the only way for people not to leave you was if you had money. And that's a big layer because I feel like so many of us, myself included, have had such a big abandonment wound where
Mm,
we feel like we aren't this or we don't have that, or if we aren't X, Y, and Z, then people will leave us, whether it's the mother dying or the father shunning and abandoning the child. So we have that abandonment wound that if we are not this way, people will leave.
yeah.
And that is such a sad and scary and people-pleasing, codependent, low self-esteem place to be. And I speak from personal experience. I used to be so codependent, and all of my value and all of my worth was from what I could show, do, prove, provide, perform for other people. So if I'm doing this for you, then you'll need me, and then you won't leave me. So I get my value, my lovability, and my worth from how you feel about me, rather than what we were talking about before. And also what you did when you found like that true meaning of like freedom with the capital F was I get to just be.
I get
I
to be me, and you love me or you
love
don't.
for me, and you love me or you don't, but that's okay because I have me. And it goes back to, and it's so funny because it's like such full circle stuff, right? And it goes back to what we we're talking about with the feminine energy and our intrinsic value, because it's like I don't have to be or do or prove anything, and I still get to get.
Yes, I
And
get
I
to be me, and
I
I get to get.
I get to be me. I get to be free of all of the bullshit baggage, and I still get to get.
Yes,
Right? Like that's actual freedom. I get to give me, everybody else bedamned, and I still get to get. That is true freedom.
oh my God.
You
Yes,
right?
yes.
All came together. It's so beautiful. That is so beautiful.
Oh, and it's
Yeah.
incredible. And allowing ourselves. So I guess my question to your audience is,
Yeah.
the first question is, what is your soul's purpose? And allowing yourself to go deep, but
Mhm.
then add in that extra layer. So this might take you weeks or months, or it might take you just days because you have clarity, but like start with that first layer. Like, what is my soul's purpose? And then allow yourself to go deeper, because I feel like yesterday's session revealed that extra depth to the freedom, which
Mhm.
is me saying, hello, next level self. Like, I'm ready.
Yeah.
I've been ready, but now it's that next layer, next depth. So that's everyone's homework from this episode.
Yes, it is. This has been so good. And just to bring it all home, I have our segment called our 5 soft life questions. So are you ready?
Ready?
All right. Our first question is, what is one thing that you would tell your younger self?
Oh, I'm just like loving on my younger self. Like, she's such a go-getter, but also like, girl, just release all the responsibility that you have self put on yourself. Like,
Mhm.
allow yourself to just experience the yumminess and juiciness of life, because you don't have many responsibilities right now. Just enjoy, and everything, because of who you are, who you innately are, will work itself out. But just right now, explore, enjoy, adventure, have fun, girl, and just like drop all the responsibilities that you have self-inflicted onto yourself.
I love that. Our second question is, what is your definition of God?
God, oh, love. Just
Yeah. Oh, I love, yeah, love. It's just like that yummy warmth, Like, do you ever get that feeling? Like sometimes I don't even know when it all happened, but just randomly sometimes I'll just get this just like warm, like presence, this warm yumminess. I just have to stop whatever I'm doing. I just put one hand on my heart and I just say thank you.
yeah,
Like
just
that,
receive.
just that thank you.
Oh, I love it. Yes. And to receive that, we need that feminine energy of just being,
Mhm.
because if we're constantly going and moving and doing, like, how can you feel that love? It's impossible, because we're literally pushing it away in the movement. So slowing down and being in the feminine, that's when we get to actually feel it.
Yep. I love that. Our third question is, how do you self-soothe?
Ooh, so good. Again, this is like, that's quite new, like the self nourishment and allowing myself to. And yesterday was beautiful because I literally just gave myself a big hug, like something that I've probably never done, and saying, like, wow, you have been carrying a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And you just need to be nourished and loved. And so allow yourself to receive this love. So that was quite new for me. But I mean, to me, my nourishment is being out in nature. We live in a beautiful community surrounded by nature trails and just getting out there, no phone, no to do lists, and just being and grounding and reconnecting. Like that's a daily practice of mine that is a must.
I love that. Our fourth question is, what do you want your legacy to be?
Whew, this is big, and I think about this often. I have two young daughters, so two girls who really they're my teachers and support me in tapping more into the divine feminine within. I mean, you know, my legacy is about freedom, and my desire is for every single woman who chooses to really experience the yumminess, freedom, the yumminess of life and adventure and co-creation and living in integrity, alignment, and purpose, like to experience it all, because we're only here for such a short time. And so whatever that is for you, because it's going to be a different definition for everyone, but I want to create that ripple for as many women as I can to really tap into their innate purpose during this lifetime.
I love that. And you are literally living your legacy, so you're definitely going to leave that. And our last question is, who are you?
Yeah, such a good question. I'm reading this book called Quantum Love, and it's like,
Ooh.
it's normally I would pick up the money books, but it's like it's this again expansion, evolution of the soul. And so quantum love, and it's like, who are you? You want to say I'm Anna, I'm 39, I'm a mom, I'm a multifaceted entrepreneur, but that's just those labels that we all put on ourselves. And so to be honest, I'm discovering it. And my desire is to be that beacon of love and just to be love. And as I'm in this frequency of love, to inspire you to step into your frequency of love and to receive it and to give it and to continue creating that ripple. So I am in that discovery phase, as this is that next chapter of my life that I'm stepping into.
I love that. I absolutely love it. And I agree. I think the self-discovery of who we are is like the biggest joy of life.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Like we're shifting a lot of good energy.
Oh my God, I know. Me too today.
A lot of good energy is coming up and shifting for us. I love that. This has been amazing. I know that my cup is full and running over. Oh, and I also think, do you have a free offer for the audience?
Yeah, let's do it. I have a beautiful 3-day program called the Quantum Wealth Codes. So everyone will just receive free access to that. Its value is 333. So free access to everybody who's listening to this podcast.
Oh, awesome. We'll definitely have that link down below in the show notes and in the description and in the description box for anybody who wants to take advantage of that. I know I personally will be. I can't wait to dive in. Absolutely. So is there any, one piece of wisdom or one kernel of guidance or insight that you would like to leave us with?
Just a reminder that we're all energy, and the energy that we put out into the universe is boomeranging back to us with like vibrations. So choose that frequency wisely.
Ooh, I love that. I love that. Well, thank you so much, Anna. This has been amazing. And for everybody listening, as always, if you need additional support, check out everything linked down below in the description box of the show notes. We have our courses, our self-love journal, Patreon, the newsletter, and our self-love guide. And also you'll be able to connect to Anna down there and also get access to her free offer for us. So thank you so much, everyone. As always, take care of yourself and each other. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Bye.
Welcome to The Soft Life with me, Candy Washington, where we explore all things self-love, manifestations, and relationships with a cheeky dash of pop culture news. So be sure to subscribe, share, and join us on Patreon.